at the end of a tweet to put the # FB, and it'll send to Facebook. And I do use that sometimes because it can be relevant if you're not tagging people or pages and you just want to quickly post something from Twitter to Facebook. That's something that I would recommend, but I don't recommend doing it every single time you send out a tweet. We can move on to the next slide.
And really quickly, if there's anybody that's not knowing what it means to tag somebody in a post on Facebook or to tag somebody on a post on Twitter, give a quick rundown on what that's all about.
Good point. Yeah, a hashtag on Twitter is the #, and then in this case, FB would stand for Facebook. But normally, what hashtags do on Twitter is they help you follow an event that's going on or something that's trending. So basically, it's not used on Facebook, but it's used on Twitter to follow something. So you can even find out news that's going on. So when everything went on in Japan, I noticed that Japan was a trending topic, and I went to check what was going on, and then that's how I found about everything that was happening. When I went to this conference, I just came back from yesterday at AdTech. In order to follow along with events and all the speakers and all the exhibit hall booths that were interacting on Twitter, I followed and I tweeted with the hashtag, so it was the # AdTech.
Right, and for example, I mean, if you were a football blogger and you're, during the NFL season, somebody might set up a hashtag for #NFL draft. And then people that are interested in reading more about that are going to set up, their Twitter clients to, maybe give them a display of all the posts that have that hashtag. So if you're trying to attract people to your football site, with a Football Fanatics offer, for NFL draft hats during the draft, you might want to use a hashtag NFL draft, to bring people back to take a look at what you have to say.
Yeah, that's a great point that Wade made. Since you guys are focused on football and on sports, during the Super Bowl, a lot of people were using hashtags, even specific ones talking about the commercials. But what's interesting is you can talk to all these people that are watching live at the same time. And then if you had a page that was set up specifically for whoever won and you were selling jerseys or T-shirts, you could be interacting and letting people know right then and there live. And if they were following the hashtag, all these people would now be seeing it, even if they were not following you on Twitter. If they were following that hashtag, they would see what you would be posting there.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll bump on down.
Okay.
Okay,
so I was talking about the difference between Facebook and Twitter postings, and this is an actual example. So it's a little hard to see the top one, but basically I'm using a client of mine as an example, which is Sticker Giant. They found a promotion that we did for the iPhone, and they were mentioning us in their blog, and they did a nice video. So in turn, we wanted to mention them and thank them for that. And you have to do your due diligence on your end. So if you're mentioning someone, that you find the correct Twitter account that matches them. You can search this on Twitter, but usually it's just easier to Google the name of the football team that you're looking for and Twitter, and you'll usually find it. And when you click on the link, since it's probably a big account, it'll say if it's a verified Twitter account with a little blue icon, and it'll say verified account, and that's how you'll know that it's the correct Twitter account, because a lot of times different people will open up different Twitter accounts, and it might not actually be the official team that's running that account. So that's something good to look at. But once you verify who you're linking to, it's a little differently done on Facebook than it is on Twitter. So on Facebook, I found the company that mentioned us, and I liked their fan page. And what's nice and easy about that is on Facebook, you can go and like the page, and you're pretty much automatically a fan. If you were to go friend someone, like if I wanted to friend Wade and we weren't friends, I mean, I might have to wait a day, or I might get a response right away, but you're not sure. But if there's a company you can link to or a brand, a big brand name, you just search for that on Facebook, and then you can like the page, and then you can link to it. Now, I want to explain how you link to something on Facebook versus how you link to it on Twitter. So on Facebook, I would have gone in for this example, and I would have searched for Turning Minds, which is the name of that company. I would have liked the page. Then when I would go and type this information, in order to make that name and those links appear, you have to put the @ in front and start typing. So I would put the @ and I would start typing Turning Minds. And then as I type, Facebook would give me that option that I can select for the fan page, and then I would hit enter. As soon as I would hit enter, that would now become a link. And what's nice and what's good about doing this is you would not only see what I posted on the Micromedia Marketing fan page, you would also see it on the Turning Minds page, and you would also see it on the Sticker Giant page, because I linked mentioning both of the companies that were in that article. So we want to maximize the pages we're linking to, because if you have, say, 500 followers on your personal website fan page, but you're talking about Nike or you're talking about Football Fanatics, and you link to them, then say they have a couple thousand people, or Nike has like 2 million people, you're now expanding your audience. Now on the second slide, the second part that has Twitter, you'll notice that I'm thanking someone named MCC Justin and Turning Minds, but I'm not linking to Turning Minds. That's because MCC Justin is the CEO of Turning Minds, but Turning Minds actually did not have a Twitter account. So in this case, I'm just going to mention the CEO and link to him, because I want to try to link, in any way possible that I can, and then I link to Sticker Giant as well. We can move on to the next slide.
And this is really, this is really powerful stuff to understand as well, because there's a lot of responsibility that comes with it, because you don't want to be heavy-handed. I mean, you don't want to overwhelm the people that you're trying to link to here, and be constantly appearing in their stream, because at that point you're spamming, just like if you were randomly emailing everybody. But this can be pretty powerful from the standpoint of getting exposure for what you're talking about. And so if you're contributing, it's like anything else. If you're contributing valuable, information to the conversation, you're not going to bug people, and you're going to find some followers yourself out of this. And I know personally for me, on Twitter, I mean, I don't work Twitter real hard on my Affiliate Warrior account. I don't go out and do a lot of promotion on it, but I get, because of the fact that I engage in the affiliate marketing conversation, I use hashtags that relate to that, and I tend to, make sure to tag people that are pretty influential in the industry because they're my friends. I get a lot of followers just kind of on a residual basis because of that. So I might get 5 or 6 new followers a day and not even go out and actively solicit it. So now over the course of a couple of years, I've got like 1,200 followers on Twitter.
Right.
And so if you play it right, you can really build something kind of fun and organic, that can be self-perpetuating. As long as you don't abuse it, because if you abuse it, I mean, there's definitely ramifications to that as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I'm glad Wade is interacting and giving us his feedback. You definitely don't want to just try to tag everything to a big football team or to Nike or to someone just to get attention. It has to be relevant, and when you're providing good, relevant information, that's when you'll start building relationships online. So another thing that's mentioned in these slides is the amount of space. That's another good reason not to link Facebook and Twitter together. Is most people know on Twitter you have 140 characters that limit you, and on Facebook you have 254. So you'll definitely have a lot more space on Facebook, and you can go ahead and use that space. But on Twitter, you'll see, I'm writing thanks, THX, instead of the regular way, because I was running out of space. Now, it depends on how formal you want to be. I have some clients where I would not abbreviate thanks, but Sticker Giants has a pretty easygoing, fun audience that, he's totally okay with using smiley face emoticons and THX and things like that. But you want to try to just fit the most relevant information in the space that you have, and I would just post that differently in both places. And on the first slide, you'll see I'm using the full link, but on Twitter, I'm using a shortened link that's an OWLY, an OWLY link that comes from Hootsuite, which is a platform that I use to manage several Twitter accounts. Now, even though I don't like automating and posting across a bunch of platforms, if you have, say you have several different football sites and you think you have relevant news that can work for all of them, if you used a platform like Hootsuite, it would be completely okay to select several of your accounts and post them across the board. So if you had something relevant to say about football and you had different football team Twitter accounts on Hootsuite or on whatever TweetDeck or whatever you're using to manage them, and you have it set up in a proper way for Twitter, feel free to post that across your Twitter accounts. Another thing that's important, and we try to always include when we're posting on Facebook and on Twitter, is to include rich media. Now, you can't really do that much on Twitter because they won't see a preview of an image. On new Twitter, you can select a button that will populate the video or the photo, but it doesn't appear as it does on Facebook in this slide, where you're seeing that there's a photo of soap and then a picture of the CEO on the soap that someone sent to us as a gift. But the point is, when you're posting something, always post at least an image. Don't post just plain text. So besides plain text, number one, link to other fan pages if possible. Number two, make sure there's a call to action and you're driving traffic back to your site. And number three, include something interesting like a video or an image that can go with that. Yeah, we can go on to the next slide. These are other examples of rich media, and what I was explaining with this is new Twitter. So if someone's using, well, I think almost everyone's using the new version of Twitter, but if you see, this is a link to a picture, and then there's also a link to a YouTube video. Now, if I found that interesting, instead of having to exit Twitter or click on the link and leave Twitter to go to the YouTube site, you would see next to the star, there's a little button you can press, and that expands now into a new window where people can view images and view the videos right then and there without leaving their Twitter. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, so sorry, this one we were trying to work with earlier, but I have those bullet points, so I'll just read them off to you. But we always want to check out the competition. So if you have other sites that are competing with you that you actually might say, hey, they're actually doing a really good job, or you just want to keep an eye on them, you can follow their company on LinkedIn, become a fan of their page, or just like browse their wall to see what kind of things they're doing. They might be running a Facebook contest that you think is pretty engaging, and they might be doing things that you want to stay a step ahead of. But one of the best ways that keeps it private is you can create a private list of competitors on Twitter. So on Twitter, there's a place called Lists where you can create a new list. So on the right-hand side, you'll see on the drop-down, it's new list, and then here we created a list of competitors. But you can make that a private list. That way, you'll be watching your competitors, but they don't know that you're watching them. So what's good about that is